All right, so custodian of enemy property powers. The president is authorized to appoint the alien property custodian, who shall be empowered to receive all money and property in the United States due or belonging to an enemy or ally of enemy, and to hold and administer and to account for the same under the general direction of the president. Such custodian shall be required to give a bond in form and amount as the president shall prescribe. Section 6. Payment to custodian, a discharge. Payment and delivery of money or property to such custodian shall be a full acquiescence, or discharge for all purposes of the application of the person making such payment or delivery, and the custodian or such other person as the president may appoint shall have power to evidence upon the record or otherwise such acquiescence or discharge, and to deliver any security therefore, which has come into his possession. Any person so empowered by the president will be furnished with a certificate from the president, which will be accepted as evidence of his authority in the same manner as a power of attorney. Section 7E. Monies invested in government bonds. All monies paid to or received by the alien property custodian shall be deposited in the Treasury of the United States and may be invested by the Secretary of the Treasury in the United States government bonds or certificates of the indebtedness as soon after the end of the war as the president may deem practicable. Such securities shall be sold and proceeds deposited into the Treasury. Section 12. Other property to be deposited in banks. All other property, including stocks, bonds, notes, time drafts, or other securities except checks or drafts payable on demand of an enemy or ally of enemy, shall be deposited in any bank or banks or trust companies in the United States designated by the president. Such depositories are authorized to collect dividends, interest, or income which may be due on any stocks, bonds, notes, or other securities, and to deposit same in the Treasury of the United States. Section 12. Rights of custodian. The custodian, in respect of all property other than money, shall possess the powers of a common law trustee, and under prescribed regulations may manage such property and exercise such rights as may appertain thereto when necessary to prevent waste or to protect such property to the end that the interests of the United States or of the persons who may ultimately become entitled thereto may be preserved and safeguarded. Section 12. Corporations or unincorporated associations or trustees issuing shares of or certificates representing beneficial interests are required to transfer stocks delivered to the custodian upon demand of the latter, accompanied by delivery of the certificates. The returns from the property sold by the custodian shall be deposited in the Treasury of the United States. Section 12. Money or property required or authorized to be paid or transferred to the custodian shall upon his written order be paid or transferred to the Treasurer of the United States. Section 12. Disclosure of stockholders, officers, and directors of corporations and unincorporated associations. Every corporation organized in the United States and every unincorporated association or company or trustee or trustees within the United States issuing shares or certificates representing beneficial interests are required to furnish the custodian within 60 days after October 6, 1917, with a full list of the names of every officer, director, or stockholder living outside of the United States known to be or whom there is reasonable cause to believe to be a citizen or subject of a nation at war with the United States or of an ally of such nation, together with the amount of the stock or shares owed by each. A similar list may be required by the president of all stock and shares owned on February 3rd, 1917 by an enemy or ally of enemy, or which the corporation, company, or the trustee has reasonable cause to believe is owned by an enemy or ally of enemy, though standing on the books in the same name or of another person. The name of any officer, director, or stockholder contained in this list may be stricken therefrom by the custodian if he is satisfied that such officer, director, or stockholder is not an enemy or an ally of enemy. The president may extend the time for filing lists or returns for an additional period not to exceed 90 days. Section 7A. Money, property, and debts. Any person in the United States holding or having custody or control, alone or jointly, of any property, beneficial or otherwise, for or on behalf of an enemy or ally of enemy, or for any person whom he may have reasonable cause to believe to be an enemy or ally of enemy, or any person in the United States indebted in any way to an enemy or ally of enemy, or to any person believed to be such, is required to furnish the custodian with a statement containing the particulars of such holdings and indebtedness. Such report shall be made within 30 days after October 6, 1917, or within 30 days after such property shall come within the custody of, within the custody or control of such person, or after such indebtedness becomes due. The president may also require a similar report of all property so held on February 3rd, 1917, but the name of any person included in such report may be stricken out by the custodian if he is satisfied that such person is not an enemy or ally of enemy. The president may extend the time for filing lists or returns for an additional period not to exceed 90 days. Section 7A. Any money or property owing or belonging to an enemy or ally of enemy who has not been granted a license by the president may be required by the president to be paid over or conveyed to the custodian. Section 7C. If not so required, any person not an enemy or ally of enemy owning or holding money or property of an enemy or ally of an enemy, if such enemy or ally of enemy does not hold a license hereunder, may, with the consent of the president, pay or transfer the same to the custodian. Section 7D. Enforcement of rights affecting enemy property and contracts, mortgages, and liens. Any person not an enemy or ally of enemy holding a mortgage, pledge, lien, or other right in the nature of security in any property of an enemy or ally of enemy, which by the law or by the terms of the instrument creating such right may be disposed of, may hold such property, or after default may dispose of such property after notice to the custodian under regulations prescribed by the president. Likewise, any person not an enemy or ally of enemy who is a party to a contract with an enemy or ally of enemy, the terms of which provide for a termination upon notice, for an acceleration of maturity on demand, may terminate or mature such contract upon notice to the custodian. If any surplus remains after the satisfaction of a mortgage or other claim, notice thereof shall be given to the president, and such surplus held subject to his control and order. Section 8A. Notice to custodian. The notice to the custodian shall be for no longer period than is required by law or by the instrument providing for such notice. If no notice is required by law or by such instrument, notice will be required by the custodian. Notice given to the custodian in accordance with the above shall have the same effect as if served upon an enemy or ally of enemy personally. Section 8.8. Contracts prior to war. Any contract entered into prior to the war between any citizen of the United States or corporation or organization within the United States and an enemy or ally of enemy, the terms of which provide for the delivery of anything produced, mined, or manufactured in the United States to an enemy or ally of enemy, may be abrogated by such citizen or corporation by serving 30 days notice in writing upon the custodian. Section 8B. Claims for property transferred to the custodian. Any person not an enemy or ally of enemy having any interest, right, or title to any money or other property transferred to the custodian, or to whom any debt may be owing from an enemy or ally of enemy whose property has been transferred to the custodian, may file with the custodian a notice of his claim. If application is made by the claimant for the transfer of such money or property, the president with the assent of the owner thereof and all persons claiming an interest therein may order the payment or delivery to the claimant of such money or property held by the custodian or by the treasurer of the United States, or of such interest therein as the president may determine the claimant is entitled to. An order of the president herein shall not bar any person from prosecuting suit to establish any right or interest in such money or property. Section 9, page 27. I'll be right back. I need a drink and I want to save this video, so be right back. 1 second.